Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here today, talking to you about the amazing giant moon, giant moon in Cancer that is coming up on the 2nd of Jan. So what I've been always talking about in the past videos as well, in last year's video too, is that it is not the new year on the 1st, it is on the 21st of March, because the energetic system of the zodiac and of this planet and of the solar system suggests that we don't really start new things until the beginning of Aries, which is spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn here on the southern. So have a look at yourself and how you're feeling. Definitely not a good time to force anything or anyone to do anything. It is a really, really nice time to subdue and take small steps, because full moon in Cancer can sometimes affect us in very strong ways. So sometimes during these types of energies we can run away with ourselves. We can go forward and into some kind of romantic, emotional or confused state. We can perhaps become very enamored with somebody or something that then leads us away. So especially if you are all sails up, you know, like going forward and you're trying to feel 100% and you're very optimistic and you are spending a lot of money, time or energy on something before the full moon, you may find that it is not really constructive later, or that it drains your energy later on. So it's really nice to take nice mild steps, to be very gentle and generous with yourself, and to make sure that before the 2nd of Jan you're not overdoing, over-frying, over-connecting and trying too hard basically. So for me there is no New Year's celebration, but I feel that the 31st is quite good if you are interested in having dinner with people, inviting somebody over, having a very sensuous, a very emotional experience with somebody. I'm actually seeing that the 31st is looking really nice for any type of extremes. However, if you are making it the beginning or the point or the massive shift for yourself, I feel that when the 2nd comes, you might not have enough energy or enough steam to really use this time correctly. And what do I mean by using this time? Well, it feels to me that this Cancer moon has surprising energy. I feel that it's very surprising in how you find yourself later on in life. So what is home to you? What is conditionless, unconditional love to you? What is care to you? How do you give yourself care and joy? Especially if you're a woman, what do you see in yourself? Who do you like to be? How do you care for yourself? How do you care for your children? How do you care for your home? So it is a very, 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 very amazingly enticing time for us all to really nurture and to really beautify our lives. However, with a lot of people flying around doing different things and constantly on the go, I feel that there might be hardship and competition in the air for those of us who are not yet calm. So those people that cannot utilize the Capricorn energy that is in the sky at the moment and don't feel patience. They don't feel patient or methodical about the coming changes. They're not putting things together, or they're not feeling the need to organize. I feel that the people that are flying off, especially with the New Year celebrations, may not find the 2nd of January to be the most comfortable and kosher of times. I actually feel that many people that are resentful or relentless or edgy or sharp may not find the 2nd of January to be the comfortablest of times. And of course here we have the ending of a giant cycle with Cancer moon, and this means that how you sometimes end is how you begin. So if you are feeling edgy, especially if there is energy of non-success, defiance of another person, defiance of authority, defiance of everybody, defiance of anything, defiance of strategy, defiance of you, and defiance of your previous years maybe as well, I have a feeling that Cancer moon will give you pretty much nothing. So anything sharp and angular, anything hard-wired, anything strong and anything forceful is not okay. Because basically as we are coming to this incredible, soft, gentle, ethereal, squishy full moon, it is not such a good idea to burst anything open right now. It's not such a good idea to call anybody up on something. It is not a good idea. The truthful time has been, so I've been talking about the Sagittarian transit for a while, and about how we've had a lot of choices and a lot of opportunity to burst a lot of bubbles and call people out. And it feels to me with Jupiter, Mars in the sky during this moon, we don't really know how to hold ourselves back. And you might see that coming up to the second, there has been perhaps a lot of worry or a lot of nuisance coming from somebody. Perhaps there could have been a compliment or a comment that was really backwards. Maybe you are trying too hard with certain types of people, or there are certain types of energy that are forcing itself on you. It is likely that some of us might get very unkind comments and compliments from others during this time, because we are still trying to burst a bubble and trying to help each other in a very backward way to find our places. And that's been something that I've seen for me, so perhaps for you too. If you have, for the past maybe even a couple of weeks, have received some sort of backward comments, or, you know, backward people sort of saying, not backward people, but backward behavior from people, saying certain things that are not true or just are not kind to you, that's fine. So we are all triggering each other during this time. If we feel that the other person unconsciously is not stepping in the right direction, so don't worry if you are being triggered by another person. They just have a different dream of you. So if they have a different dream of you, and perhaps they'll tell you to do something, or they'll try to nurture or mother or father you in a very stabby or disconnecting way, and perhaps they're saying things out of love which are actually not feeling good, it's all right. So it's really nice to preserve yourself. Self-preservation until the 2nd of Jan is a big thing. I feel that preserving of your feelings, preserving of your time, preserving of your money, preserving of your own business. So what is mine and what is yours? I feel that this is a beautiful time to really consider how you structure what you're doing. We have an amazing stellium here in Capricorn. We've got Saturn, Venus, Sun and Pluto out of the bigger celestial bodies in Capricorn. So this to me means that we are here to really structure something big. And of course, when we're structuring in Capricorn, we have to remember that sometimes the smallest gestures and the lightest steps imprint. So we are imprinting, but not in the same way that we've done before. It feels to me that we are suddenly, perhaps not knowing, but we are creating, we are blueprinting our future in this time, and we're creating tiny little steps or big ones, depending on you, towards a bigger picture. So for myself, I've chosen to work right through. So I'm working right through without having any holiday time, because I do not believe it is the holidays. But for you, if you are taking a lot of time off, and then you perhaps feel kind of superficial about your job, or you're not feeling efficient, if you have found your life purpose but you take a long time to kick back, that's okay. So that sometimes can happen with this type of shift. Another thing that I'd like to tell you about the moon is we can really take things personally. I would suggest to probably have a look at the Jupiter video, the Jupiter retrograde video, Jupiter videos in general, and have a look as to why perhaps you are still taking things personally, or you're still perhaps feeling prickly and unwell about what people will say or how things go. It is not a personal thing here. Personal times where we can fight back, or we can really point something out to ourselves or to other people, isn't really here yet. I feel that Gemini is going to become the perfect time to really sort things out, to organize things with another, and to create boundaries and barriers between things. At the moment, I feel this is not a time for pointy things and pointy conversations. It is more a time of connection and creation of peace. I feel that for a lot of women, this is a time of revival, as I'm feeling that if you are feminine or like female identifying person, it's a very beautiful time to go and share some time with other women and other female identifying people. It feels to me that women are creating a stronghold. We've got a Sun conjunct Venus at the moment. We've also got Jupiter looking really favorably to Neptune at the moment in a very beautiful trine. So to me it feels like a really, and with the moon as well there in the mix, it feels to me like a very perfect, beautiful time for the feminine beauty and feminine wisdom and all things that are female to be brought together within oneself or within a commitment with other women. So for example, if you are somebody who has the luxury to have a beautiful group of friends already, oh my goodness. So if you're a feminine person, you have this beautiful formed circle of women that all are on the same page. You like doing things together, you like hanging out, you like to, you know, create things together. That is a beautiful, beautiful gift from God. That's a beautiful gift. So definitely have a look at how you can perhaps connect more connection with those elements within yourself or with other people. Another thing is mothers. Mothers and mothering, that is becoming, I feel, separate. So what I'm seeing is that mothering as a strategy of the past is kind of going, and there is a new type of parental commitment that's needed now because we've shifted a lot in the last while. So I feel that the children, these children that are here now, so before the age of 12, require perhaps different type of mothering than we have required. So if we've got a child who's under 12, we might find that they're needing different types of systems, they're needing different types of boundaries and barriers, and also different type of love. So the loyalty and care and nurturing needs to be reformed in the mind or recreated anew. So what I mean is, for some of us women with children, or some of us women who mother over time consistently, we might want to recreate the lunar patterns. We might want to recreate the way that we see our children. We might want to recreate the way that we see ourselves in society, or the way that we see other people. It's a very, very interesting time to find what motherhood is for you inside out. And that is also mothering and nurturing of yourself. If you're a masculine person, you might actually find that there is a lot of love in the air. I feel that this is really important, is to take it one step at a time. If you found somebody new, if you are attracted to the feminine energy, it is time perhaps for those women that have been on your mind. If you're interested in feminine energy, not to any longer sway you in a certain direction. So I was talking about Jupiter retrograde and how the feminine energy is reconditioning itself towards a new divine masculine blueprint. And it feels to me that men also have that type of situation here on the cards, because you guys can also reconnect to what true love is for you. This is not for all men, because not all men are attracted to women only. So I'm talking about people who are attracted to the feminine. So they're looking for a feminine energy to counterpart with them. So I'm talking about people that are interested in the feminine vibration in new ways. So you might find that suddenly the type of nurture that you were requiring from a woman before, or from a feminine energy, isn't the same as you require now. You might find that there is a different type of energy that you're more interested in. You might find that there is a person that you never noticed that you do now. But it also, I feel, has to do with the new, to the point where you are perhaps blocking off from your exes now, perhaps, or you're not any longer looking towards the same types of maternal cycles with a lover. So for example, if there's been the type of relationship of boy and woman, so mother and child, or there's been the opposite of father and child, so meaning sort of a mature juvenile feminine and a very strong masculine, you might actually find that there is a difference here that's needed. So rebalancing of the genders, rebalancing of hormones for some people is possible here. If you are interested in doing some research into your hormonal balance actually during this time, you might find it very easy to find the answers. For example, if you are thinking about how to create a new way of dealing with your hormonal issues, with your thyroid issues, especially if you're a woman, or any type of hormonal issues if you're a man, hormonally based diseases in the body and things like that. It's very, very easy at the moment, I feel, to find the right practitioner or find the right person for you. But unfortunately, of course, a lot of people are taking time off around about the 2nd. So perhaps if you know, I'm posting this thing on the 29th of December, so maybe there is a couple of days where you can see somebody and perhaps get some interesting supplements, so before everything closes down after New Year's, that help you with your thyroid, help you with your hormonal balance, or at least have a look, research maybe some plant-based methods as to how to balance out the feminine and masculine within. Another couple of things about this transit is, I feel, war stories. War stories, we've got Jupiter conjunct Mars, kind of in the mix. So I feel that the worst thing again, so mentioning this again, sparkly, sharp, angry, really future-based, determined, silly things can really burst a lot of bubbles, and they can actually cause a lot of kerfuffle. So having a look at war stories and things like that at the moment, even though perhaps for some people it's an important part of the holiday season as possible, isn't so good. So having a look at war, having a look at crisis, having a look at situations that really, really feel uncomfortable, I feel for this particular transit isn't good. Also got Pluto and very close proximity to the Sun. Anything that is sensual, anything that is nurturing, anything that is loving, anything that is squishy and beautiful should not be shunned. And another thing is, of course, family bonds, homes, hospitality, nutrition, all of those things can be really beautifully blessed during this time if you take some time for yourself and do it for you. I feel that anything to do with home things that you do around the home, especially if you're in a cycle of constant cleaning and cooking still and serving other people, they can really flourish here and change their vibration. Dreams can be woven into new realities. We can really see beauty come through here. We can really, really see and identify the new types of wave, new types of energy in which we can really, really connect, really, really enjoy things that are comfortable, homely, nurturing and nourishing. So definitely interesting time. If you work with roses, you know, if you work with flowers, if you're a painter, if you are somebody who works for others, who works in a community, in a communal sense, if you're somebody who feeds other people, who creates a beautiful place for other people to enjoy, it feels to me that this is a gorgeous time to have a look as to how you can make it about yourself. This is everything to do with Tantra as well, everything to do with pleasure. And I'm not talking about sensuality only, as it is an interesting time to explore sensuality for the first little part of the month, but I'm feeling it's more about how beautiful you feel inside out and connecting to a tantric way of life. And this is not just about sensuality, it is more about finding the pleasure everywhere and creating new cycles of pleasure from within. A couple of other things, I guess, for this incredible moon is daughters, interestingly enough, can oppose mothers. So here we have a changeover. We have a changeover from one generation to the next. We might see that it is not easy, perhaps for us to feel good and present with ourselves. I'm seeing that there is a lot of difference that can be made between generations, to the point where a mother suggests to a daughter how to do things around the house, or a mother suggests a certain schooling system for the grandchildren, and the daughter says, no, I'm going to do things my way, or we're disconnecting from you. So a disconnection from the mother figure is a likelihood, unless you want to take on the wisdom of your mother. So for example, if you're 35 and you've got a mother and she's trying to teach your her grandchild, your children, something that you don't really trust, or you don't really like, or something that tormented you when you were a child, that's not okay. So there needs to be some kind of disconnect, only if it's really impossible to do it any other way. So I would definitely suggest talking it over and taking the time to commune, heal, and maybe taking the attention off the difficult decisions, difficult things, because although we've got a lot of cardinal signs going strong at the moment, I do not feel that this particular moon is so good for ripping and shredding things. But there are, I feel, some cases where the daughter shouldn't feel afraid at opposing her mother. And the other way around also is mothers opposing their daughters and sons, because we've got moon opposite Venus and sun conjunct, also Saturn and Pluto actually. So there could be a feeling of the feminine, the mother, the divine sort of sage of a woman, disappointed in her children, disappointed in the world that she's living, or not interested in any longer helping, serving, providing. So that's also an interesting thing that can happen even before the moon. A couple more things I feel is role reversal, role changing, and role into play. So I'm feeling that people that perhaps have been very, very good at keeping up appearances and doing things how they've always done. They can change roles, they can shift very fast, people can come out of certain types of energetic and different types of closets. Sexuality is a big thing for some people, gender identity. So it feels to me like there is like a big influx of not wanting to do things the same. So if you are like me and you've explored the spectrum and you've done lots of different things, it might not be such a good idea to, how can I say, connect the dots for someone else. If you have someone who's struggling, who doesn't really know their place with love or sensuality, monogamy, polyamory, it is not a good idea to tell them what you think, because it feels to me that underneath the current of what we're experiencing, also with Jupiter and Mars here in Scorpio, we have a big, massive, unconscious undercurrent shift in terms of sexuality, in terms of gender orientation, everything like that. So it is something that I'm feeling coming to a close for some people and coming to a change for somebody. So if you are somebody who has, for the last couple of months, been questioning your reality in that way, has been questioning your gender, your identity, anything like that, you don't need to make it your whole world, but definitely have a look at the types of changes that you've been creating in your world, and the undercurrents are deep. And what else to tell? I guess looking at this chart, as I'm today channeling from the chart directly, I think that another thing for people is communion. Communion is very far-fetched sometimes during a time like this. It can be far-fetched. What I mean is, although we no longer have Mercury retrograde, I'm feeling that there is something that we want, and we no longer have Uranus retrograde either. It's almost like on the tongue, it's like on the tip of the tongue. There is something that we want, but we can't quite taste it. I feel that sometimes with another person you might find, even if you've spent a long time with this person, I used to be in love with you, like where is our situation, where is our closure, like how can we get closer to each other, what is it that I'm looking for, what is that taste or that flavor of experience that I'm really after. And that can be very hard to see later, because I'm feeling, and this is like a big thing, that a lot of people that we've had before, and you might have noticed this is a trend for the last couple of months, on the mind, in the bedroom, you know, on the heart, for some reason there's just the taste of that relationship, the feeling of that experience, even sexually, doesn't quite produce the same result. And I feel that a lot of us will be trying to find that special center, that special energy that we are confused about, because how is it that for some reason this person has been with you, like, or for you, for 12 years or like 3 years, it doesn't matter how long, and suddenly you understand perhaps that the taste or the flavor of the relationship and the conversation that you're having, or the timbre of someone's voice, even if it's a singer or politician or presenter on YouTube, even if it's somebody that you've sort of grown to like, can either feel very, very magnificent or very, very tasty, like you find something new in them, which is lucky if you have, or you might feel like they haven't got any meaning for you and you're trying so hard not to feel misunderstood, or trying so hard not to show maybe that you don't really want the same types of experiences with somebody, but yet you do have those experiences, like in marriages and any kind of a stable situation. So there is something that sometimes can really tick people off, and occasionally we find it personal. So if somebody doesn't measure up to your expectation, if somebody can't give you the right result, if a person isn't able at the moment to give you the right flavor of life, the right taste, look out for yourself. See where you are receiving energy yourself. Don't cluster with another person and drink up their juices. It's not a good time to do that. As mentioned before, we are in a very, very nice climatic state for the rooster year, so we've got to find ourselves. We have to feel very joyful and proud of how we are and who we've come to be, without having to carry anything forward that is like parasitic, so parasitic relationships and parasitic expectations of other people. We have to really be in joy, I feel, and be in complete connection with somebody perhaps here or ourselves, where we can really not expect a lot. So Mercury is having a little bit of trouble. Just come out of retrograde, and I'm feeling also its connection to Uranus suggests to me that we want something else, and sometimes during these types of shifts we are too embarrassed, too shy, or too meek to tell ourselves what it is, and we may bite our tongue, we may not want to say something, we may not want to state something, we may not want to make it a big deal. But the difference is there, and where we're looking perhaps for fulfillment isn't it. And to try and evoke the same types of energy in a relationship that is feeling to you perhaps part of your past, that is possible, is not so good. But if you are in a marriage or a union and has been successful for many years, take your time, because you might have already gotten used to it. So for every shift we go with another person for like 10 or 20 years, and you might actually find that there's lots of different reasons as to why it hasn't worked before and how you can work it out later. But for some of us, it might be a big one. You know, we might actually find that this is not it for us. And because we had a rooster year, it could probably show us the right scene for us, the right people for us are coming during the dog year. But you might actually see, I don't want to be part of this world, I want to be part of another world, especially in a world where we're living colonial experiences, you know, and when we're like hopping between countries, we can go anywhere in the world we want. And this is an incredible opportunity for some people, if they're so wired, to move, to think about moving, to perhaps taking their business elsewhere and doing something completely different, on a complete different spectrum from what they used to do. So I'm feeling that this is a very beautiful time. There is a lot of love there for you. I feel that no matter how you are in reality, I feel that this type of moon will have something to give us all. I feel if you are hungry, I feel there's going to be a bowl of soup for you. You know, if you are unnurtured, there's going to be something for you. If you have not received enough love, there's going to probably be somebody for you. If you are somebody who has not managed to get something together for the last year, there's going to be something for you. I feel in every person is going to be a prayer answered, but it's not going to be the same for everybody. So it is our own different experiences. So that's one thing to look out for. If you are careful with your energy, and if your Christmas was a quieter Christmas, because that was a harsh one, I feel, this year, from just seeing a few things, and I guess the 31st is not the end, so take your steps wisely. The 31st, once again, is a beautiful time to have dinner, it's a beautiful time to have friends over, but it's not the culmination, it is not the end and the beginning, which is where we chop the horn of Capricorn into parts. So we have to, I feel, be very, very mindful as to how we use the energy here, and also not to get harvested. Not to get energetically harvested is very important. So you take slow steps, and you help yourself feel, and you help yourself understand, and then when Cancer Moon comes on the 2nd of Jan, you feel nurtured, you feel held, you feel connected, you feel full, and then it blooms into something else for you. So it feels to me that for some people, the next cycle of love, the next cycle of relationships, the next cycle of people in your home, the next cycle of anything that is to do with motherhood and connection and love and cuddles and beautiful things can actually become fuller and fuller. So have a look at how you'd like to spend this time. And just one last thing, for ladies who are taking care of themselves intensely, you know, who are perhaps going through some kind of procedures, very careful with needles. Very careful with needles. Very careful with anything injectable. Very, 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 very careful with anything that is to do with etching something into the body, tattoos, anything to do that is under the knife, scalpels, everything like that. Just know, because we've got Jupiter and we got Mars and Scorpio, so it feels to me that sometimes this could be like a dead end. Like, say you do something and then perhaps the tissues don't do what you want. So I feel in terms of getting needles and things like that, not so good. But if you are somebody who is more loving, get massage, especially with people that you love, you know, you feel really spruced up, you feel soft, you feel warm, you feel comfortable, you're drinking a lot of beautiful detox teas and you're feeling lovely inside out, that's definitely good. So nothing too permanent and nothing too stabby. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this progress and I hope you have a wonderful transit. Bye.